report came out this week about black representation in management. The Rooney Rule thing has come back around again. So what are our thoughts on the Rooney Rule? Mark, I'm going to go to you on this one.
I'm not gonna lie, I don't know much about the Rooney Rule.
All right, so I was about to say, I probably need to explain it. So the Rooney Rule, actually, Isaac, you explain it. Your NFL is your thing. You can explain it in a probably more eloquently than
I'm trying to work out how the Rooney Rule relates to.
It's not Wayne Rooney, don't worry.
That's what I'm thinking. Wayne Rooney.
You know we're recording this, isn't it, Mark? You know we're recording this. Go on. No, keep that in, please. Please.
Keep that in. So the Rooney Rule, was brought in to give to enforce teams in the NFL to interview one person of color, even though I hate that term, or one black person in the interviewing process for the top job, the head coach's job.
So that's just across every
right,
sort
so
of industry,
they have
right?
10 people, one of those people.
No, but you can't hire unless you've interviewed at least one black person.
Yeah, but that's not just a sport rule. Is that a rule?
No, that's the NFL.
That's the NFL.
So they brought it over to the UK and they implemented it in the EFL, in the English Football League. But the issue is when they implemented it, the issue that was brought up, that was highlighted, is it only applies to when you shortlist.
Oh, so they don't actually have to make it to interview.
You don't actually have to speak to the person.
No, if you don't have a shortlist and you just interview one person,
then that's it. So you just interview Frank Lampard.
Jeez.
And even when they do interview, basically in the NFL, it's not worked.
Yeah.
Because it's been in for a while now, and there's still minimal black coaches in the NFL head coaching roles. What it is that even if they interview 5 people and they're one person of color, it's more just a token interview. They know who they're hiring. I'm just bringing you in just because I have to.
Yeah.
So I'm not for it because I don't think it'll work. I don't think it's worked in the NFL. These owners, they're going to hire who they want to hire.
Yeah. So
they own the club or the company or the franchise. You can't tell them who they can hire.
So if we bring it to the Premiership, well, so football in the UK in general, but let's the Premier is where the headlines are. Pat has now gone, so depending on who Palace hire, I'm a guy that you see. I'm a data-driven guy, so I'm gonna assume that it's not going to be another black manager, right?
There's not a lot of us around.
So we've lost the kind of early black reputation we had in the league. Daz, what do you think? There's anything practical, tangible? So if you don't like the Rooney Rule, what do you think can be done?
It's a hard one.
Yeah.
I think as well.
There's nothing that can be done.
Yeah. I'm just.
I think
I've asked you a very loaded question.
But
very loaded.
Well, not sorry, I did it on purpose. But.
If we're being honest,
rather than looking at them, let's try and look at us and what we can do. I feel like there's ex-players, like players that sort of like have accepted, I can't do that, and they've gone into television or gone to do something else. We need people to want to break down those barriers, because the only way I see it is if more people go and do it and be successful, that's going to open up the doors. I know it's going to be hard and it's going to take a lot of time and effort, but that's the only way I can see it happening.
But just to add to that then, so we've got this dynamic now with ex-players where, because of what management has become today, it's super high profile, it's super stressful. Ask Mr. Potter, he's talked about it a couple of times, social media, etc. And we're now at the back end of the first probably generation, 10, 15 years of earning super high money. So you don't need to coach, right? So I actually think this disproportionately affects the players from the lower leagues who need to keep working to maintain some income and earn a living, right? So football's what they know, they go into coaching. But to Daz's point, if we don't have enough high-profile people starting at the top and doing it, but even non-black players, a lot of them, they don't want to coach anymore. I'd rather go and talk rubbish on TV and earn my money that way, and the endorsements, etc.
Put it this way, right? You get to the height of your career. You've experienced high-profile games. You've won a lot of trophies. You've got a lot of caps, international caps. You've got your stripes.
Yeah.
Right? You then go and do your badges. Put the feelers out. Say, I'm ready to work. I want to impart my knowledge
on
the game. You're happy to take even go the route like maybe Vieira done, where he went to America.
Yeah,
he went
yeah,
to the French
yeah,
league.
yeah.
Even Gerrard, who had to go through the academy and then
Yeah.
to Scotland.
Yeah.
Whoever, you're ready to do the groundwork.
Mm.
And you turn the TV on, Sky Sports News. Neil Warnock's been called
It's true. It's
out of
true.
retirement
No, it's true.
Yeah, and I agree with that point. Like,
to come and to manage.
And it's not even Prem.
And
Like
wait,
it's
Yeah.
championship.
and he's managing a club that you've put the feeders out to.
Yeah.
I know there's a job going. I'm interested.
Yeah.
I've
Yeah.
do a Brendan Rodgers dossier. You know what I mean? And they give you the wink and the gun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We'll get back to
But
you.
on that Neil,
And then they bring in Neil
thing,
Warnock.
on that Neil Warnock thing, though, isn't it a case of because he's been there, done that many times, and he's actually done very well?
Yeah.
They're looking at him thinking, okay, we're in, whether it's the Championship, I don't know about the Premier. I don't think he's done too well in the Premier. We're in the Championship. He's been there. Neil Warnock is probably the go-to person. He's probably the safest option. So instead of taking someone who's got their badges, black, white, or indifferent, let's just go with Neil Warnock.
bro,
We know what you can do.
He's 73 years old.
We get that, but
Well,
he's still.
Dinosaur.
But
I know,
okay.
but he's
But
still.
let's take people out of that scenario. Yeah. So I think like all these things, there's 15 layers to this, or not probably. But I guess to Isaac's point is, if over the years those individuals were given a fairer chance, they would be in jobs, in places, in pockets. There might be an assistant here or etc. there. So when you get in a position, you're promoting that individual, or you're going to get them from somewhere else. Because even if we take away the people that are in trouble, there are other clubs who are looking for a young manager or are willing to take that risk, but they're not. That opportunity is not being passed to the young black managers. You know, Vincent Kompany is an exception. Like we look at him and say, right, he's doing really well, but because he's an exception for us.
He had to go out to come back in there.
Right, exactly. He went back to, he was doing it.
Anderlecht.
Yeah, Anderlecht. Sold us a dream with Sambi, but that's another conversation. And that's what it is. Me personally, I think there's no one answer. I do think that the issue, you know, we look at an England team now that has got, you know, a lot more black players than and the black players in the England team have a much higher standing than probably when we were growing up across the team, right? You got more and more black players in the Prem than ever, I think. But I look at them and think, none of you lot, unless you really love the game, you know, you're earning more money than any footballers have ever earned previously. Bruv, these Saka, still all these man, when they get to 35, 36, 37, 38, unless you really love the game, I can't see them going through all the nonsense to go into management.
I think it's got to be a point of, especially in the lower leagues,
Yeah.
you've got to see black managers being appointed.
Yeah.
And if they fail or not successful with whatever club their management wants them to be, they still get chances elsewhere.
Yeah,
Like,
that's the thing. The merry-go-round doesn't work for black managers, does it?
No.
Not at all.
Yeah,
It's like
yeah.
once you're in, you've got to
You got to be the best.
You've got to be
You
the
got to be
best.
like the Joseph. You got to basically be like Vincent Kompany.
But you got to
gotta
start.
slap the
You got to
league.
start at the bottom though. You get
Alright,
someone like Jimmy's Floyd Hasselbank. He's got to go to Burton. You got
Yeah,
someone like
Yeah, no, I get it.
But
But
Sol
what I'm-
Campbell couldn't get a job. Then he had to go to Southend.
Well, do the Sol
Edgar
Campbell way.
Davids had to go to
Barnet,
Barnet.
Yeah, no, but I get that. But what I'm saying is,
Edgar
Well,
Davids.
I would
If
say
there
the
was-
last two individuals you've mentioned, you know, there could be some
Yeah.
Sol
personality.
Campbell's a bit.
if,
All right.
But then you got someone like Lampard. He's going in at Derby.
I know, but if
Yeah.
those managers were
That's not
getting
good.
jobs, failing, and then getting jobs and opportunities elsewhere regularly, because I can only say maybe Keith Curl and who's the guy that just gone to Ghana?
Chris
Hughton.
Hughton.
Chris
Chris
Hughton.
Hughton. Yeah, he couldn't get a job.
They're the only two who really had regular management jobs.
And even when you look at some of Chris Hughton's sackings, bruv, they're
Yeah,
hard to justify.
at Brighton.
So I
and that.
think
No way. He should be.
if
Newcastle.
younger black people who aspire to be managers saw more black managers getting chances, they might be like, you know what, I'm gonna keep at it.
Yeah.
But if you see one black manager getting a job,
Yeah.
gets fired, doesn't get a job for 3 or 4 years, it's like I've said before, they get the mentality of what's the point?
Yeah.
I'm busting my gut to do these
All right,
badges.
question.
And badges are not easy to get.
No, question. All right, I hear that. Question. Is there a lot of pressure on Vincent Kompany's shoulders then?
I think there is.
There-
I think if you ask him, he might say he doesn't feel it. But now, at that end of the game, we only have him to talk about it.
You know what?
And that, so
It's
that's
true.
I
That's-
think in the championship, no.
No, but when it
As soon
comes
as
to
he
the
gets
Prem,
promoted,
yeah.
Of course.
Mate,
If he
Okay.
goes on
He's
like
got-
a
he's
run
got
like
the
Vieira, they'll sack him.
Yeah.
all right. So
And they'll go and get Pulis or
he-
someone.
And the reason why I ask is two things. Good point. And B is look what he's done to Burnley, right? He's turned Burnley from a long ball team, Brexit FC, to an absolute footballing team.
Yeah.
Now, if he can maintain that coming into the Prem,
there's no way they'll sack him
and move them up the table, does his performance, number one, change the way they look at black managers?
No. I don't think so, because
pretty adamant. Hold on. And then does it then open a door a little wider for other black managers coming behind him?
No.
I think
so. You just think he's an isolated?
They'll just see him as
the only reason I say that is, so I'm drawing on other walks of life, right? When you get that, and football's probably a little bit better, but when you get that one individual, the funny thing is, when it's something negative, it fuels the general kind of wider perception. When it's something positive, it's because that one individual is good. They'll just look at it like company is really good. They won't be like, oh, you know what? The next time someone who looks like company comes through the door, we'll give him a chance. And a lot of it's probably unconscious bias, but I don't know, maybe I'm scarred, but I just don't feel like company is opening doors. The only way he might do is if, I don't know, all of his coaching team were black, they won an FA Cup, won this and that, their CV now says XYZ. They can go and say, right, I'm an FA Cup winning manager, etc., etc.
Or younger players might see how well that he's done, and they might be like, well, let me give it a try. Like, I think even if that happened, maybe 2 or 3 players say, you know what, I'm going to go do my badges, try and get my foot in the door. I think that's a win.
But do you think we look at managers?
Get a high level win.
I was just going to say, do you think we look at managers like that? So do you think we'll look at a Vincent Kompany and think, oh, he's black, I'm black, let me try and get my coaching badges?
Yeah, I would.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't want to say I don't see colour, but I don't look at Vincent Kompany and think, oh, he's a black man doing
I'm not
a
saying
good
it's the
job.
only thing, but whether you consciously know it or not, it would be a little bit easier if you saw people that look like you.
Yeah.
It would be easier.
And I think the biggest thing that could change is ownership. If we had ownership, then that's where,
of course,
if a person looks like you walks in the room, they're a lot easier to hire, whether we like it or not. It's just the way. It's just the way
Didn't
of life.
Ferdinand do that at QPR? What was his role at QPR?
Les Ferdinand. He's director of football there, I believe.
But who did he bring in first? I think his first appointment was who?
Chris Houghton there.
I'm thinking it was Chris Houghton.
Yeah, I'll Google. I think.
And they talk about that a lot in NFL as well. About then if you had black ownership and that, then you would be getting more coaches.
So again, it's about having representation at the decision-making level and at the strategic level. So the people who do the thinking and who pull the levers, that's really where you want representation. But like anything else, we've had to work our way up. I actually think ultimately you need the Rooney rule in some places and not in others. So Rooney rule in the Prem, forget it. Like that said, no matter. But League One, League Two, National League, where we're talking about
club.
Even though it's football, these are everyday people that need jobs to feed their families and to earn a living. There should be some minimum quota of having as wide a funnel as possible when you're interviewing to make sure as many people get through the door. And I think at that level is key. I think Championship and Prem, forget it, man. Do interview, man, or do whatever. So I think that's where there needs to be detail and say, at this level, we're going to enforce this thing and enforce it strictly. But as you go up, then you kind of need the pyramid to feed it up. Does that make sense?
Personally, I don't think that Rooney rule, obviously now I know all about the Rooney rule, I don't think it's going to be the thing that...
The one thing.
I don't think it's going to be the one thing that's going to bring in more black managers.
Yeah, agreed.
I think
it's a combination.
Coming in through other sort of angles, like Lewis Bournemouth at Fulham.
Yeah.
If, for example, I can't remember the guy's name that's in charge. If he loses his job, Lewis Bournemouth automatically becomes the interim manager.
Right? I don't think so.
No, it's
sorry, you mean caretaker for 1 or 2 games?
And if he does,
I don't even think they do that.
No, but you have to try and get.
I think they'll skip him and go to someone else.
They might skip him, but they might not. But my point is,
he's there.
He's there. And if you try and get that role, if we can't get the top role, let's try and get a role within the coaching staff, a higher up role.
But to Isaac's point earlier, people need to see that it's worth their time and effort to going into it. It's like any job, bro.
We have to make it our thing.
Interject. Right. So like it's still kind of on the same point, but I don't know if you've seen this week about the role that Chris Powell had at England.
Yeah. Yes. It's gone to Hasselbank.
It's going. He's stepping down because the World Cup cycle is over and Hasselbank's replacing him.
Mm.
So it kind of seems like it's a one in.
It's a token. Yeah,
Why not?
it is. Yeah.
My initial thought was, well, why can't they both have roles on the coaching
Yeah.
staff? And this is kind of, I don't think it's similar to the Rooney rule, but they've kind of implemented there's got to be like a.
Well, if Powell stepped down and he was
a black
replaced with a
person
non-black man, what's better? The fact that they're slightly forcing it, or there just isn't any black person in that role at all?
But the thing is, they shouldn't be forcing it. There's been enough black English players in the past who know about English football and coaching who could have that job on merit.
No, I agree, but
and I just think because if you're looking at like the highest level of English football, the national team, and they're operating on a 1-in, 1-out system, what hope what chance does anyone else have?
Yeah,
because they're looking at England as the marker.
Yeah. I'm going to end with the old cliche, right? It's slightly reflective of society. Let's be honest.
Oh yeah,
and kind of the general journey of progression and kind of reaching the elite level in most industries, right? That it just goes like that. So yeah, interesting. I don't know the answer. You're right, Mark. There's no one answer, but as is typical these days, one thing will be the consistent topic. I think there's 3 or 4 bits, and I'll pick up the report for the next pod, but I do think that if we kind of take a nuance view, I think we're gonna at the lower levels maybe it's more of a sledgehammer approach, and then at the elite levels, it's just gonna have to get to the point where it's undeniable. It's a bit like where it's getting to the NBA now. They've had so many black players become franchise players, have their own money, their own power. Now you've got more black players who have ownership shares in clubs, in franchise, etc. So it's gonna have to get to the point where it's undeniable. And ownership is a big thing as well.
Yeah.
We don't have any black owners in the Premiership as far as I'm aware.
No.
So even in Championship, I don't think.
Arsenal need to sell that Nigerian so we can get a black manager in.
Dangote from the inside. I don't even know if Dangote would hire a black person. Still,
he probably would have.
His money be. It's about his money.